Okay, so I think the first thing we need to do is just say our names. I read that in the little email she sent out.
Mhm.
So I'm Talia.
I'm Kim Anderson.
I'm Devery Daybell.
I'm Karen Corrigan.
Okay, and I guess we'll just start with the questions um, about the video and then Elder Holland's talk. Um, so we can just start with the first one. It reads, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention? How has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address? Are these right? Did you guys? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think these are the right questions.
Um, I noticed some of the threats that he mentioned. He mentioned like challenges with getting along with other people who are different than us. He talked about the girl with like the rainbow hair and a lot of different piercings. Um, and then like child neglect and sexual transgression and pornography and physical violence. Those were some that I noticed.
I noticed those also. In addition to that, there was one area that he talked about some of the issues that we face, in society, like poverty, ignorance, transgression, unemployment, abuse, violence, that cause heartache in our communities and cities, in the world, really. So those are some of the things that I noticed as well. Anything else?
I think those sum it up pretty well. Elder Holland is always kind of, I don't know, he starts out a little harsh. He's great, obviously, and he's wonderful, but the beginnings are always a little bit like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So going over all of these things, it was a little overwhelming. Just to think that all of these things are coming at us from all directions, and they're all, especially within the family.
Well, and I think, like he said, he kind of chose like a smaller thing, and then something that was medium, and then something that kind of led up to something bigger with the examples he gave. And I think the examples that he shared were some of the things that we can tend to go through, like he was talking about checking our religion at the door, and then one of the other questions is, where do you check it? And so I think it was one of those that like I think it would encompass so much, almost like heartache from what other people experience. I don't know, maybe I'm just jumbling everywhere, but um, I think he was trying to give so much, like you said, so much with the examples, and kind of let us to kind of pull away and say, okay, where have I been? What kind of situations have I been, and what have I done with that situation?
Yeah.
It made me think a lot this week about, I loved what he said about, kind of righteous judgment, and not self-righteous judgment, but righteous, standing up for and judging righteously, which I think can be so tricky for us sometimes, and that's where we can kind of check our religion in at the door. I've done that sometimes where I felt so upset about something where I found that I'm kind of doing the self-righteous judgment. It usually comes when things with my children, or, I don't know. I just thought it's just so, that's a challenge today, to really know when to stand up and how to stand up and what to say and when to hold our tongues and not, overstep. Or that's always a tricky thing in my life. So I liked his suggestions and what he said throughout. So anyway.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think it does hit harder when you have children and when you feel like that's like an attack kind of a thing. And one thing that I've done is we had a really kind of, in my mind, a horrible situation happen with a school teacher and my first son, and all I kept thinking about was that frustration of like, how could this happen? And then try to put myself in the situation of, this person is a child of God. As frustrating and as upsetting and just disheartening that an adult would take on specific views and make a child feel a certain way. And then all I could think of is that person is loved by somebody, not maybe us immediately, but by somebody, and Heavenly Father obviously, considers everyone special in their own way. And I think it was one of those where you do kind of feel self-righteous, like I'm frustrated, I'm upset because my child was hurt directly, and so it is that reminder of, okay, that person is still a child of God, and how am I going to act or react to this?
Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting because, like you said, like you might not necessarily love them right now, but the first step is definitely realizing that someone loves them. Heavenly Father definitely loves them, and through that, maybe you can kind of develop love for them, but you don't have to. As long as you realize that someone does and that they're not. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, like your approach should always be with compassion and love, even when we're standing up for right. And that's where it can be hard, especially as a mom or when you're defending your own or something. But always with that approach, as horrible as it may be, but just, you can be very strong and direct and share your views with a lot of compassion and love and respect. So that's a hard thing, it's a hard thing sometimes.
It is, and just from all of your comments, it just kind of made me think how having love for others and recognizing that we're all brothers and sisters, it could maybe make forgiveness a little bit easier too. Forgiveness is hard, but kind of having that mindset can make it a little bit easier. So, okay, shall we move on to our next question? How does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in these latter days? One thing that stood out to me was that he mentioned our faith is a light. And he just talked about how we can be a source of light for everybody else, through our examples or through our values and how we do things. And they mentioned, everyone always fleeing from Babylon and fleeing from the wicked and from their homelands to a place that would eventually be well and safe. So I liked at the end of Elder Holland's talk how he kind of said, we should no longer flee, and that by holding up our light of Christ is kind of the way we can defend our families. So.
I think that quote's same area where I was reading. I focused in on, I love the end where when he was talking about that, he said not to flee Babylon, like you said, but it's time, but to attack it without being naive or Pollyannish about it. We can live our religion so broadly and unfailingly that we find all kinds of opportunities to help families, bless neighbors, and protect others, including the rising generation. So I thought about, I'm so excited to be in this class because it's making me more aware. I have, studying marriage and family, it does kind of give you this focus on defending the family and finding opportunities to help. And so I just think the more we learn, as we become more educated on the family and the, how the world's influencing it and whatever, what am I trying to say? We're not living in we're kind of taking ourselves out of the bubble, and we're more aware and able to, I just like that we protect our own families, but we protect others, and how can we do that? by standing up for right and watching, watching situations around us and being able to be that light, in the darkness, or being able to stand up and protect, see a situation, be able to stand up and say, hey, that's not okay, Anyway, so, yeah, I guess it really is our duty, right? It's scary for me. It's scary. See, I say this, but I get nervous. It's hard for me sometimes to stand up. So
I think sometimes maybe in the unexpected situations, it doesn't have to be like a big rally or anything. I think it's like maybe in just like passing with conversations with people, and people might make a certain remark, or somebody that's not of our faith will say something. I think it's those small opportunities that you plant that seed and you let people know, this is where I stand, and this is why I think it's important for you to look at things this way, and or look into it. You make your own decision, but this is my information that I need to share. And I think it's one of those of not staying quiet but speaking up and sharing what we do know, and not trying to convince people, but sharing what we do know and model what we know and what we feel. And also reaching out. I think one of the other points was reaching out into our communities by different things, just different opportunities, but mainly being an example and having that strength within our homes to be able to share with others.
Mm-hmm. One thing that my husband suggested, sorry, I don't want to overtalk anyone, I just overthought, justserve.org. Are your wards doing that, like in your area and stuff? My husband suggested that. Denver's really pushing it right now, and it just has lots of advocacy, family advocacy kind of, or just service opportunities for families to do together. So that's a thought I had, is being a little bit more proactive and putting myself in, situations where I am, maybe standing alone and be able to, serve or whatever. Have you heard of that program, Just Serve?
I haven't. I'm going to write it down. That's neat.
It's a pilot program in Denver, but what you do is you just get online. It's a church website, and our whole area, the whole Denver metro, puts on service opportunities like the Protestant church needs servers for the homeless, please volunteer, or, this organization needs help stocking shelves or gathering food, or, stuff like that. You should look it up. I wonder if it's just a Denver thing right now, or
if it'll spread.
That's very interesting. I think one thing that I think all of you kind of touched on is the fact that Brother Holland was talking about building up Zion wherever you are, rather than us gathering together. Like the saints did at the beginning of the church. So many people came from all over the world, and my mom always talks about how the saints came to Utah and they kind of left Europe. Like, I don't Europe was kind of a dark place after that, because so many people who had the Spirit had left. So now, rather than us gathering together and kind of concentrating the Spirit and the light of the gospel in one place, we're supposed to spread it wherever we are. And like you said, like, it's scary to maybe have to stand up for things, stuff like that. But he said that we have to stop running and plant our family somewhere permanently so that we can build up Zion wherever we are, rather than Utah.
Good. Okay. What characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on that will make us or you more effective family advocates?
I think one that pops out at me is to be knowledgeable, to constantly seek knowledge and to find confidence, and to seek the Spirit, and to know that as we seek knowledge, that we should have the confidence to share it and have conviction with it.
Going along with that, I don't remember, but one of you on the decision board talked about, to be an advocate, you have to already fulfilling your roles within the family. And I thought that was really interesting, like, to be a family advocate, to be making the most of being a mother, being a wife in your own family, and then you can go out and help other people with the same things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his final part of his talk. The heading was "Live your life to reflect your love of Jesus Christ." And I thought, like you guys said, it kind of summarizes like he's living the gospel really, and being as tuned day by day as we can with the Spirit, and just trying to do the right, and the Lord will help us, open our mouths just as missionaries, like we were just to have those opportunities presented to us, and the Lord will be able to open our mouths and give us what we need to say, So I guess that's what it comes down to. A lot of my fear is because I don't have enough faith. I don't just say, the Lord will, kind of like Elder Holland somewhere in his talk, was it with that girl that walked into church that had the hair and the tattoos and everything, and he said, say a silent prayer, what should I do? And so I think the Lord can help us, just act, be his vessel to help stand up for right. So
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something else I can add. I guess I have here that showing compassion and being loyal to the commandments. I know he said that it's really easy to, have faith and to pray and things like that when things are going good in our lives, but it's often hard when we have, trials or temptation. And so I just thought it was really neat how he said just to be compassionate to others. And I think that helps us be an effective family advocate. If we're compassionate and we just show love to everybody. So, all right, guys. The next question is, according to what you have learned from Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, if any, do you have in a scenario like the one in the video? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, those, like, what would you do video,
Yeah.
they're sensationalized and, like, dramatic. I always think that they're over the top. But I think that I was really impressed with all of the I guess most of the reactions I found in the video, just to people, like, comforting the son, but not necessarily condemning the father, just saying love is the most important thing. And I think that was a really good reaction.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought one of the main points of the video from kind of everyone, that was there in the restaurant was just, love them and show them your love and not to judge others.
And I liked how I was so impressed with those guys. It really touched me, but I liked how they pointed them toward there's help available, Mm-hmm. And just sitting, I just pictured myself in the restaurant if that really did happen. And I could just see myself just chomping at the bit, wanting to say something. But that's probably what I would want to say if given the opportunity, is to love and get help, for your family, whatever he decides. There's help, for understanding, and I really liked how those guys reacted. I thought it was really, really neat.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you guys caught it, like talking about the help that was offered, is the way that TV works and the way that editing works. Even though one thing may look one way, it can be totally twisted. And I think that the program, I don't know, maybe I took it this way, but I think they were trying to twist it in a negative light. There's a 12-step program. The LDS Church, almost like there was a disease and there was something wrong. But the thing is, if we were born to be able to be within our gender, And there is a program out there that could help if there is whatever the issue is. I think that it was interesting how the show kind of, at least for me, I picked up like they kind of wanted to make it like a negative, like this is how they fix their people and they're so bad. But then again, like you said, it kind of overshadowed that by the fact that the men, and it was interesting that the men were the ones mainly saying it, because that's who I think their target was, that they were saying show love. Regardless of what the outcome is, what you do or don't do is within your family, show love. And that's ultimately what we as family advocates are to do, as you guys have said, is be compassionate and show love. How would our Savior react to this situation, or how would he instruct us to act?
That's a really good point. I didn't think about it like that. I think we kind of answered the last question. It just kind of asks us, well, I'll just read it. It says, if you were a customer at this restaurant and observed this father-son exchange, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response? And so I think we kind of covered that by, saying just to love them, and to not to judge and to offer help when we can. I don't know if anyone has anything else they'd like to add.
I thought of the part in Elder Holland's talk about looking for when we're deciding that we need to, there's some sort of judgment, or between being self-righteous and judging righteously or self-righteously. He talked about focusing on just those things eternal in nature, and that's what touched me. Is I thought, that's one of those situations where the principle eternal in nature would be love. That loving bond, unconditional bond between a family. And so, anyway, it made me think a lot in situations in my life. If I just took more time to pray about it, to contemplate, and keep that in mind, that those things eternal in nature, that's our focus. So anyway, it just made me kind of think of that part of his talk a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I'm sure we've been 20 minutes. Should we go ahead and wrap it up with a summary? If everyone feels good about that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're at 30 now, so that's good.
Okay, good. I can give the summary, and then if anyone has anything else they would like to add, because I'm sure I'll miss some things, you can just jump in. But during this meeting, we just talked about how we need to build up Zion wherever we are, and share our faith as a light to others, and be proactive in protecting our families and not compromising on the commandments. And we need to not check our religion at the door and seek knowledge, and be missionaries for family advocacy, and share our knowledge through our words and through our actions. And on the video, we talked about focusing on eternal principles and loving others who are different from us, and offering help whenever possible.
That was a great summary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get so nervous for these things. Okay. Great, guys. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. You always teach me so much. I like to hear your views, so it's fun to meet.
It is. Okay, great.
Okay, I'll stop the broadcast and I'll send you the link, the YouTube link, okay?
Okay, just in the
Actually,
email.
you guys, just so we have an idea, do you want me to lead it? I maybe I can figure out how to do the link. That would be awesome. But I could,
Yeah.
take turn lead it if you want, just so that we
I don't
kinda-
know that we even have one scheduled for next week.
Oh,
Do we?
I don't
I was
know.
looking at my planner and I didn't have it written down, but that doesn't mean that we don't have one. But we
Oh.
might not. I don't know.
Wow.
But if not, you can do the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we do have one, do you want to email out?
Yeah, I can try it, and if I run into trouble, just keep an eye on it, maybe half an hour before in case I need help. But I do need to learn this for other classes. I always wait for someone else because I get nervous. But anyway, I'll do it. I'll try it out.
Okay.
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 Okay, thanks, you guys. See you next
Yeah,
week.
have a nice night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.